I'm Kristen Nolan, speculative and crime fiction editor, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. So today we're going to cover revising your novel. I call it Revise Wise. It's not, revising isn't for the faint-hearted. You worked so hard on writing your story and celebrated typing the end, but now you're going to have to pick it apart. Take it slow. Think about, think about it as taking apart something to clean and polish each piece. So when you reassemble the story, it shines brighter. If you think about it that way, then it's not so scary. You'll be ensuring your character motivations make sense. Your plot holds from beginning to end. Your story's progression is the correct order, and much more during revisions. It takes multiple times revising in order to get your story to where it really needs to be. As an author, it's not easy to pick out the holes in your story when you created the fictional world and the characters within. You've got it all in your head, but you need to make sure that all of it gets onto the page so that the readers can envision what you are seeing in your head. It may even take you, revising may even take you longer than writing your first draft. So prepare yourself and take your time. Try not to place quick deadlines on yourself or your editor. A rush job will not give you the results that you want and need. I'm going to review 7 steps to get you on your way to revising. First, you're going to give yourself a break, and then you're going to start the editing and review the big storytelling aspects. Then you're going to make sure everything in your novel has a reason for being there. Then you're going to go back through and add emotions to your characters. The next step is to clarify your narrative. And the last one is to read it out, or sorry. The next one is to read aloud so that your ear catches some of the mistakes. And then step 7 is to run a search. So giving yourself a break. When you finish your first draft, you need to take a break from your novel. The longer you leave it sit, the better, but a few weeks is usually good enough. Taking a break will help you assess your writing logically so you can pick it apart wisely. I'm going to review the big storytelling aspects. So before you get into creating beautiful sentences, clever metaphors, check your plot. Character depth, world building, pacing, and structure. This equates to developmental editing. If you don't have the best structure, believable character motivations and growth, or solid world building first, you'll spend too much time revising things that may need cut from the manuscript. So start with the big elements of storytelling. The next step is to know your why. It's imperative that you know why everything is in your novel. From characters' backstories to clothing to plot points and twists. There should be a reason these things appear in your novel. If there's no why behind a scene, a character, or dialogue, then it probably shouldn't be in your novel. While readers may not understand why a character wears flowered tops at the beginning, it does add to the character's characterization. You know your character chose a certain style or print based on their passions, their personality, and the reader can get the impression through what they wear without being told. In this case, in the case I'm going to show you, the character loves tending to her flower garden. So her shirt is a flowered shirt, or it has gardening tools on it, something to indicate that that's what she loves to do without telling the reader necessarily, especially in the beginning, that this is something that she loves to do. Later on, you may show it, but her clothing adds to her characterization. So you want to make sure there is a why behind everything in your story. A strong story also depends on character, motivation, and conflict. Every scene or chapter in your book should answer or relate to the following questions. What do your characters want? Why do they do it? And what is standing in their way? As your story progresses, your characters' motivations will change with the new information, and the obstacles in their path will impact the choices that they make. But make sure the why behind their choices makes sense. Fictional stories still need to be believable, especially the characters, their motivations, and their choices. So find the why behind your novel. And if it doesn't serve a purpose, think about cutting that portion or changing it a bit. Next, you're going to want to get emotional. So you're going to look at your novel from an emotional perspective. One thing that I notice in many manuscripts is that emotion is missing. We react to everything that's said or done with some kind of emotional response. It's important for the fictional characters in your book to do the same. When emotions are shown through internal reactions, body language, and dialogue, the reader shares the experience with the character. Readers will have an easier time empathizing and, more importantly, bond with your characters. And they will understand better why the character makes the choices that they do. Emotions add layers to your story. They add layers to your characters. It makes things personal, creates more tension. So make sure your characters feel and respond to what's going on around them. The next step is to clarify your narrative. You want everything to be as clear as possible without over-explaining, to have a smooth and easy read. Readers can be pushed out of the story if it becomes too bogged down with details, shifts in point of view, or has excessive side commentary. If you find places in your story where you get bored or your mind wanders, you get confused or frustrated, it's time to sharpen the clarity. Too many details will make it hard to read, while too little may lead to confusion. So watch for places where there are paragraphs of explaining the backstory of a character or descriptions of the setting the character lives in. Paragraphs of this stuff makes the pacing a bit too slow. So you're going to want to try and trim it down to essentials only. Over-explaining is what I see most, but there's a risk of not giving enough information to the reader as well. In fiction, this mostly happens with world building and setting. If you don't detail enough setting or show the rules of your world that you've created, the reader won't understand why something is the way it is or be able to picture where the characters are. The next thing is POV shifts and perspective shifts. These things can frustrate the reader. If the narrator has been following one character, the perspective character, and then suddenly they reveal what another character is feeling or thinking or their motivations, this can push the reader out of the story, and you want to keep them in there for as long as possible. So watch for places where the narrator shifts perspectives and gives away things that the main character or perspective character could not possibly know. There's a tremendous benefit of going through your manuscript several times. The first revisions are to deal with the bigger issues, fixing plot problems and strengthening characters. But the following revisions should focus on ways to improve the use of language. One way to hone your focus is to read your manuscript out loud. You could stare at a sentence for hours and know something isn't right, but the moment you read it aloud, you know there's a missing word or the sentence structure could be changed for clarity. You will find repetitious words and sounds when reading aloud as well. Awkward phrasing, missing punctuation, voice inflections and accents that are misrepresented. There's something about vocalizing that forces our brains to work differently so that we can pick up on these things easier than when we're reading silently. While listening, create a list of repetitive words, filler words, filter words to remove, replace, or rewrite. After you've done that, you're going to run a search. You've created your list of repetitive words and phrases, so now we're going to look for them throughout the manuscript, so you can easily pick them out and identify them. Words like feel, felt, saw, heard, smelled, thought, wondered are signs of weak writing. What happens is when these words are used, it creates a distance between the reader and the story, when what you want is to immerse them in your tale. When you find these words, the filter words, take a moment and reread the sentence or paragraph. Ask yourself if you are telling your readers how a character feels or if you're letting them experience it. If you notice your narrator tells the reader the character's feelings, thoughts, or motivations, find alternative ways to express what the character is feeling, hearing, thinking, or the whys behind what they do. If a character feels scared, their heart may be beating fast, their muscles are tense, they shake. The descriptions of what we physically feel will help the reader emotionally feel with the character. If your character thinks or wonders something, then just let them do it. Use italics sparingly, though, because they can be intrusive. Sometimes it works well to have the narrator simply say what the character thinks. Instead of Bob wondered, how is that going to help? It could be, how is that going to help? So it's a question, and it reads like an internal question that Bob is actually wondering at that time instead of stating Bob wondered. Don't feel like you need to fix your manuscript all at once. A good revision at this stage doesn't make your manuscript perfect, it makes it better. And that's what you're looking for with each round of editing. Give yourself permission to do as many revisions as you want. Do not rush it. If you're stuck on how to revise or you've done all you can, hire a professional editor. We're here to help you realize your vision for your novel, help you reach your readers, and help you create an immersive story. I hope you've enjoyed this post. Happy writing and revising. I'm Kristen Nolan, crime and speculative fiction editor. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.